Hello and welcome everybody to the S Collective podcast. My name is Gavin Duke and today I am here with...
How's it going? My name's Ethan Miller with S Collective.
Hi, I'm Carson.
Perfect. All right, guys. So what is your role here at the S Collective? What do y'all do here?
So I am one of the detailers and main paint correctors here for S Collective. My main job is to essentially make sure all the cars look pretty. But we're really correcting all of the paint, doing the ceramic coating applications, interior details, wheel coatings, and everything like that. So
Nice. Anything to add?
You pretty much hit it spot on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. And how long have y'all been here? So y'all didn't start at the same time, did y'all?
No, we didn't. So I actually started early of 2020.
Okay.
So it was about my junior year of high school. Worked there for about a year, and then we were needing some more people to come on board. Being friends with Carson at that time, I extended the offer out to him, as well as he constantly texting me saying like, "Hey, I see all the cool cars you're constantly working on. Like, any chance I could ever go up there and work for you?" And then when a opportunity arrived, I asked our boss Kurt, and I was like, "Hey, I have a friend who's really interested in this field as well. I think he'd do great. Could we bring him on?" And he was like, "Well, sure, why not? We'll give him a chance." And been here since.
There you go. Very cool. So y'all were friends in high school?
Yes.
And, okay. So how long have y'all known each other?
A long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Since y'all know. But yeah, so when did you... Oops, sorry.
Come on, Gavin, dude.
I'm sorry. All right, so yeah, when did you come on to the team?
I'd say probably about like 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, after 2 months of just constantly hitting Ethan up, I'm like, "Hey, let me come try it out with you."
There you go.
And just went from there pretty much.
That's cool, man. So I feel like y'all's job is very unique and different.
Yes.
So how do you explain what you do to like family or friends that ask?
It's kind of hard. I don't want to, when I explain this, I don't want to sound like I'm stuck up explaining it to people, so I kind of dumb it down for everybody.
Yeah.
But the best way I put it for people that don't know about it is I make cars look pretty much.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a solid way to do it. Yeah, that's solid.
I was going to say he answered that perfectly. I mean, it's kind of the same way because I feel like especially with the level at which we do our job, you kind of fall on two sides. You either can sound really cocky when you're talking about it, and to the unknown person or somebody who doesn't know what you are talking about, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, you're cocky. You're just over here bragging about how you work on Rolls Royces and Porsches and Ferraris and whatever it might be." But then if you don't talk about it enough, then somebody's like, "Oh, well, you're just a car wash guy."
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to be either one of those. I just kind of want to fall in the middle. So sometimes explaining can be very tricky.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's something that not a lot of people know about, I feel like. At least like non-car people, I can probably understand that it's kind of difficult to try to relate that to them. But cool. Well, that's enough about work. What are some of your hobbies or interests outside of work? What do y'all like to do?
Well, this is kind of hard for me because, I mean, I feel like every month I'm finding a new hobby. But right now,
That's cool.
my current hobby is probably riding BMX bikes.
Sweet.
I just picked up a new one. It's called the SE Big Ripper. I'm really excited about it. It's a BMX cruiser, and I actually just went out this Saturday and rode with a group downtown Dallas, and that was pretty legit.
That's cool.
Pretty
So
fun.
it's just for like riding around the city, or do you tricks or anything?
You can do like flat ground tricks, but it's not like skate park type
I see what
BMX
you're
bike.
I see what you're saying.
It's a little bit bigger. It's got 29-inch wheels, so it's not really meant to go around and like do big jumps and stuff like
it's
that.
probably pretty heavy to try to throw
Actually,
around.
no, it's not that heavy.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. What sparked your interest in that? Was it just like you found one and you're like, let's just go for it? Or?
So actually, Ethan, he's been into BMX for a while now, but he's kind of like brought that interest to me, and I've kind of just ran with it since then.
That's cool.
But yeah.
Yeah. So what's your history with BMX?
Oh, man. So it actually started as a kid. I used to ride a scooter. Yeah, I used to be one of those scooter kids. So don't make fun of scooter kids. No, but I used to ride a scooter and then started to really realize that, hey, riding a scooter is pretty lame. Everybody else at school is either, on a skateboard, longboard, or BMX bike. So from there, I started kind of going into longboarding. Got into that for a while, and then took like a really nasty fall, doing about 40 miles an hour down a hill.
Yeah, you can go pretty quick on those things.
Yeah.
So,
And after that, I was just about, I think that's my thrill for going down hills on a longboard. Maybe I'll try this BMX out. And at that time, I had a lot of buddies too getting into BMX, and so we would all kind of ride together. We'd go to downtown Dallas, kind of hang out there, go to local skate parks and things of that matter. But actually, that's kind of the world that somewhat introduced me into the work that I'm in now. A lot of the kids out there, after dropping your BMX bike 500,000 times, it's getting scuffed up, it's getting scraped, the paint doesn't look good anymore. And I had actually repainted one of my bikes that I had just because I was kind of tired of the color. I wanted to see what I could do. I knew already how to sand from working at a body shop when I was really young. So I was like, let me see if I can do this on a BMX bike. First one came out great, did like a really pretty metallic blue. And then from there, I just had a lot of kids from the neighborhood, skate parks, things like that. They would come into me like, hey, can you paint my frame? Could you paint my forks, my bars, whatever it is that they wanted painted? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I would do a lot of chrome, or I would do some custom painting. I was trying to learn how to get into pinstriping, but it's so difficult. I think one of the most like complex designs I would do is like spray paint something a different color and then take another color and like splash paint on it so it had that splash effect, because that was like big at the time. But I was doing a lot of stuff like that. And then something big for me too was constantly cleaning my bike. So even though my bike was multiple years old, I've constantly beaten on it, it looked still brand new.
That's cool.
Just because every other day I was constantly taking it apart, degreasing it, re-greasing it, putting the whole thing back together, and then going out and riding again. And to me, I was like, having a clean bike, I felt like I could ride better.
That's cool.
And so it's funny now just kind of seeing where I've gone to in my career and in life, and it's weird looking back, like, how did I not realize that this is kind of the field that I would end up in, But
it's definitely not a field that most people think about.
For sure. That was long-winded, but that's kind of a background.
No, that's really cool. That's interesting that you like already had a knack for like wanting to keep things clean and like understanding. You said your experience from the body shop helped, like with the painting and sanding and all that. So that's pretty cool. How, like, it's kind of full circle for you a little bit. You just moved from bikes to cars. But that's
absolutely.
pretty cool, man. So you said you've had other interests in the past. So what are some of those other hobbies or things that you've taken up in the past?
In the past, I've done a lot of rock climbing. There's a place right down the street from here, and it's called freestyle bouldering. So you're not like suspended or anything with ropes above you. You just kind of freestyle. Another thing I do is I shoot a little bit of photography. I like going to car shows and taking pictures and stuff.
That's
and
cool.
Then
hey, tell them about your jogging.
Oh yeah, I do run a lot. So probably during the week I'll run anywhere from like 19 to 20 miles maybe.
Golly, that's a lot of running.
This guy will randomly send us in a group chat like a 7-mile run, and he did it in like under an hour. It's like,
that's crazy.
And you're like, what are you doing?
You're booking it, man.
He's like, I don't know. I just got in the zone, locked in.
Stay hard.
Stay hard, locked in. Yeah, you always hit him with like, who's gonna carry the boat?
Who's gonna carry David Goggins, thank you for the motivation.
Thanks, David.
Carson.
Shout out David Goggins.
That's hilarious. So what got you into running? Was it just like, I want to like go do something? Is it just something you felt like,
Actually, my whole life, my dad, we've always gone out like after school. We've gone out and gone like for 2-hour runs maybe. We'll stop on the way and do like push-ups and stuff. But that's something I've always done with my dad. And then being in baseball, it was just something that came natural, running a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
And after that, I actually took up a good interest in it, and then actually ran a turkey trot on
really?
Thanksgiving. So
Was
I think
it
that
a
was
5K?
Thursday. Yeah, it was a 5K. It was
Nice.
pretty fun. I ran it with my brother.
Nice. What was your
But
time?
yeah, I finished in 20 minutes.
Dang,
My
man.
first mile I ran in 5 minutes and 43 seconds.
Oh my gosh, that's a quick mile, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like, he
crazy.
keeps the pace like going, and you're like, oh, that's just like 1 mile, but then like the 5th, 6th mile is still about the same speed. I mean, what was your last lap in? Still like
I think
5 minute?
Probably like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Believe
for
it or
20
not,
minutes.
my little brother actually, he beat me by like 2 minutes. I was like, dude, what?
It's the competition. in
Yeah,
that
just
kid
sprinting
every
the whole time, bro. That's crazy.
Shout out Cooper.
Yeah, shout out Cooper. Stay in school. Get good grades.
Keep playing baseball.
Keep
Yeah.
running, keep playing baseball. That's cool.
Listen to your mom.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so running is a big part. That's pretty cool though that it like, has sentimental value
Yeah.
almost with
Yeah.
like just connection with your dad and then just with sports too
Mhm.
and everything. So that's
And then something that Ethan and I actually share as a hobby is our friend group. We have got like 2 other guys that hang out with us constantly.
Shout out Emron and Looney.
The constant shout out.
We always I'd say like once a month we try to get out for like a camping or a hiking trip.
That is
that's
so
something
cool.
that we really enjoy, just being out in nature and
That's pretty cool.
getting away from the city for a little bit.
Yeah. Y'all went camping a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did y'all go last time?
Where did we go? That wasn't Eisenhower, was it?
I think it was Ray Roberts State
Was it
Park.
Ray Roberts?
Out-
Yeah,
Isle
somewhere
de Bois
close.
is what it's
Nice.
called.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that before. That's pretty cool.
Somewhere really close. It was only about an hour drive from
Yeah.
here, and
Oh, that's not bad.
super pretty out there. So
Yeah.
easy, like quick getaway, hang out with your friends, have a fire, and
Yeah.
we woke up in the morning and went kayaking, and then we started like racing back, trying to all like so you could beat each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
So
Dude, that's
you're just doing
yeah,
goofy
no,
stuff.
that's
But
I think my favorite camping spot overall in Texas would be probably Possum Kingdom.
absolutely.
where is that at?
Is that east?
Possum Kingdom.
Yeah, it's
We'll look it up later.
Yeah.
And then actually outside of Texas, somewhere I really enjoy is
Is it Turner Falls?
Yeah, Turner Falls State Park.
Okay,
in
yeah.
Oklahoma.
That's cool.
awesome. I
Yeah.
love seeing the waterfall there.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely beautiful.
There's this little spot that we all kind of climb up the rocks, and then we find
Uh-huh.
this little cave and like hang out in the cave for a little bit.
That's
so it's,
sick.
It's super cool.
That's sick. Okay, I'm looking.
I want to
On
say
the
it's
map.
East Texas.
It's actually west of
Is it
here.
west?
So it's kind of. Yeah, you can see it's. I'm trying to think. It's. Yeah, it's basically middle of nowhere.
We always get some of the craziest storms while we're out there too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
one of
on the
last
lake,
times
yeah.
We're
yeah.
one of the most
Is that
insane
Yeah.
That's it right
lightning
there.
storms
Did y'all
I've
do any
seen in
cliff
my
jumping
life.
into the lake?
I feel like every single time we go, it's like extremely cold outside. So
Yeah, we went winter camping out there, like 23 degrees outside.
Oh yeah, like crazy.
let's just say that didn't go too well.
Yeah, no, I've been out in the cold in Colorado, and it was like early October, and so like wasn't even really cold yet, and we were freezing out
Yeah.
there. So I can't imagine 23 degrees.
Yeah,
It's
we
got to
were-
be
we were
crazy.
freezing.
too.
We were 4 deep in a tent, just all kind of like shivering.
Still
in there.
cold, yeah. Doesn't matter how many people are in there.
Let's
you're
just
gonna
say
be
I,
cold.
I probably lasted about an hour in the tent and then walked back to the car and went to sleep in the car.
I'll
Oh
say
my
I woke
gosh.
up in the morning and just like, oh, my face is cold. And I
Yeah.
like look up where everybody else is, and I'm the only one in the tent. It's just like, where is
Like no wonder I'm
everyone?
so cold.
Yeah.
Everybody ditched you,
Everybody
man.
went to the car. And I was
That's
like, "Dang."
hilarious. Yeah, no, I was not made for the cold at all, so I can kind of understand that.
Me either.
Yeah.
I'm not
Me either.
either.
No.
I like the Texas heat.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. There's some people that can just, take the cold, but yeah, I'd rather be in the warm and yeah, I'd rather sweat. Than,
Speaking of cold, can we turn off the vent? That thing's cold too.
I know, yeah. The heat, okay, that one is warm over there, so I don't know why that one is cold, but
That's how
it's
it is
the only
in
one
our
we're
shop,
under.
too. It's like one of them will be blowing like 80 degrees and the other's blowing 68. So you're like,
Dang.
what the heck?
I'm like sitting here working. What is that?
Yeah,
It's freezing right here. I look over and the vent's just like facing me right here.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay, so camping. So do y'all have another trip planned, or is it kind of like, hey, let's just go this weekend?
It's just kind of like so out of the blue.
Yeah.
We'll literally be working and then one of us will pop our heads up like, trying to go camping this weekend? You're like, yeah, sure, why
Yeah,
not?
let's
I'll
go
clear
for
the
it, man.
schedule. Let's go. We'll figure out a spot and just hit up the guys and go out there. And really, it's just workload when it starts getting heavy up here and you start kind of getting towards the end of it. You're like, all right, now I need me a little break real
Yeah.
quick, go out camping for the weekend
Need to
and come
relax.
back and just relax, come back refreshed.
That's
so.
cool. Is there like a destination y'all really want to try, whether it be out of Texas
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
Colorado.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. So, is
Yeah.
there somewhere like in Colorado y'all are Like,
We really want to do like a backpacking trail, so not actually like, I don't know how to explain it, but we want to get on the trail and walk and hike as we camp kind of
Oh,
at the
okay.
same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. That's just backpacking.
Yeah.
Do you carry everything with you
Yeah.
and then just
Carry
set
our
up
tents,
every
sleeping
night?
bag,
Yeah.
food,
That's
everything we need.
that's intense, bro. But that's a lot of fun.
Hey man, we're ready for it.
I was gonna say.
He's been running every day for it. So that's cool. Since y'all work together, how does going camping and still being friends not feel like you're just hanging out with a coworker? I guess.
Gotcha.
I think because we've been friends for so long and worked together for so long, it's kind of just like, I don't want to say we turn off work when we're together,
Yeah.
but it's a different type of conversation when we're outside of work than when we are in work.
Yeah, different energy, different vibe
Yeah.
too. But I think what also plays to it is when we are at work, what helps. I know people are like, do a job you love and it'll never feel like work, right? But I think also having people that you enjoy working with make that a huge difference. So not only do I love what I do, but I also get to do it with people that I really love as well.
That's
you know,
cool.
so being able to have both of those into that environment doesn't really make work feel like work. So when we are hanging out outside of work, it's kind of easy for that to turn off because
Okay.
it's not really like a business mindset of it. Now that doesn't mean like when we're outside of work hanging out on the weekends we're not talking about work,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We're probably talking about how we can be doing things better or trainings we want to go to or things that we're just clearly upset about or things that we feel we're lacking in skill or just kind of really whatever it is. You know, we'll talk about that stuff too, but I don't know, it's just that difference of that friendship being there makes it really easy to kind of snap back and forth on
Okay.
it.
So it's less of like hanging out with a coworker, but more of like working with a friend.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That's a cool experience. I think not a lot of people have. So
Oh, absolutely.
that's pretty special. But you mentioned trainings that you wanted to go to. You've been to a few, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was in Colorado.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So out in Colorado, we did the RUPES Advanced Wet Sanding and Paint Correction course with Jason Rose, who's probably one of the world's best detailers, I'd say. He's an IDA Hall of Famer and just absolutely a badass when it comes to this kind of level of game. But was it a 2 or 3 day course?
It was a 2 day. It was a
2 day
2 day
course
course.
with him. We've done a couple of G-Technic
Yeah.
trainings. You know, we're accredited detailers through that. Carson has a IDA certification, so that means a International Detail Association, essentially saying anywhere that we travel, you're recognized as a professional detailer.
That's pretty cool.
And so, you know, there's some other trainings we're wanting to take up through other companies, whether they're different coating companies or just kind of honing in on our skill of paint correction. You know, there's guys that focus on old school techniques, whether it's all hand sanding and rotary. And then you have guys that focus on new school techniques, whether that's using a DA machine and they're using sandpaper on that instead of using your traditional hand sanding methods. So it's kind of nice to learn from both sides of it. That way for us, especially as young guys, we can figure out what it is that we like, what we want to have. But then it really just helps expand our knowledge because we really have everything in our arsenal that even though I'm not going to use all of these traditional techniques or newfound techniques, maybe there's a case where I'll need it and at least I have that in my tool bag.
And it is pretty cool to know like the OG techniques because then when an older detailer comes in and sees us using a rotary, they're like, you guys know how to use a rotary?
I
Like,
love that.
yeah.
I love when we go out somewhere and, you know, like you'll have an older detailer, somebody who comes out like, I've been doing this for 25 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, you hear that all the time in the industry. Some guys, like, I've been doing this for however long. And, you know, that doesn't mean they're good, right? It just means they've been doing mediocre work for the last 20 years. That doesn't mean anything. So, but it's funny whenever we can pull out different techniques and machines like that and they're like, oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah,
how to
oh,
use
you actually know
rotary.
what you're
I'm like,
doing. Yeah.
And it's not, I don't just know how to use the
kinda
rotary.
instant respect for y'all a
I'm
little
pretty
bit.
dope with the rotary.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Let's switch topics real quick.
Right.
What is a hot take, either about detailing or just something that you enjoy, maybe about one of your hobbies that you have that you will defend to the grave?
Not everybody can pick up a camera and take the same photo as me.
That's a good hot
Rassy, how do you feel about that one?
take. Rassy's like, I bet.
I've seen a lot of people see me with my camera and they're like, I can take the same pictures with my phone. I'm like,
Okay, do it.
Challenge accepted, bro. No, I'm sure. That's funny.
That's a hot take for me. I would say if you're in the car world, and it really goes for everybody, I think a lot of the higher end guys and even some of the fanboy snobs can kind of get into the world of, if they see something that they don't like and appreciate, they instantly start hating on it and like, oh, that's a crap car, that's terrible, nobody wants that. And it's like, well, just because it's not your thing doesn't mean it's not somebody else's thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you don't like it. That's the reason why you're not the one driving it. But to the guy who's saving up his paychecks, throwing on some $2,000 wheels on it, you know, or trying to afford an axle back or a cat back, and, you know, it's just kind of a beater to everybody else. But to him, it's like, hey, this is my car, you know? So I think my stance would be, if you enjoy your car, then it's cool. Doesn't matter really what anybody else thinks or says on it. Like, if you have a passion and joy for your ride, then it's cool. And I feel like I hear that a lot too with our clients when they come in. Whether some of them have like a lower class car than some of the 911s or Ferraris sitting in there. They're like, oh, I'm sorry to bring this to you. And you're like, don't be. If this is something that you like and enjoy, and you find the value to put the money in to invest in PPF and ceramic coating, then it's cool with me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, I think one of my favorite cars we've done was a while ago. We had a very clean S2000 come in, and I mean mint condition. But after we finished it, took it up even more of a notch, and this thing literally looked like it came out of a time machine from the early 2000s. You know, and that was one of my favorite cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, and I've worked around millions of dollars worth of cars. I've worked on one-of-one cars. I've worked on cars that haven't even been released to public sites. And so it's like, but to me, that little Honda S2000 was like super cool. And the guy that drove it too was really awesome. He loved the car, and he bought it because that was one of his first dream cars. And so, you know, to me, stories like that are what's awesome.
Yeah.
Or even when you have like Daniel's G35 in there with an LS2, you know, you might have some Porsche snob or some guy look at it and be like, ugh, I don't like that. You know, that's bad. But, you know, to somebody like Daniel, it's like, man, that's what gets you going up in the morning. It's fun when you hear a car like that start up and it starts chopping, and you're like, hang on, wait a minute,
like,
you know?
Yeah, that's not what you were expecting to hear.
And so that's just, that to me is fun. And so that's a standpoint I'll always stand to. If you enjoy your car, then it's cool no matter what anybody else says.
I've got a pretty controversial one here. It's for detailing. If you're doing paint correction outside and ceramic coating outside with no lights, you're not doing it correctly.
There you go. There you go. That's, I can't, so with the level that y'all do it, like, have y'all noticed, like, did you ever do it without lights at one point and then with lights, or was it just like, you just noticed the difference?
Always use lights.
If you're not paint correcting without a light, you're not doing the job to your best ability.
Yeah, you really need those lights to look in the paint to the full in-depth point that you need to. You know, looking at it through just regular shop lights or something like this is great, but you can only do so much with that. You truly need to have specialized lighting that's going to focus in on that paint. You know, if you go into our side, we have different shades of light that go through the different hues, right? For some paints or different metallic colors, you're going to want more of a yellow lighting. You don't want a bright white light. But for other cars, like black cars, you maybe do want a bright white light onto there. So, you know, we have different light bulbs, or not light bulbs, but our lamps in there can change through those hues. So that way we can play with that and figure out what's the best light to look at that paint.
That's really interesting, because, that's not something that most people would probably, like, take time to learn.
No.
Because you're learning more of, like, the, you know, the actual technique and correcting, but like getting the correct setup is super important too.
Well, you know, and even a big thing, you know, there's a lot of intricate, small key details that can really play a huge part to your shop. You know, so one thing that Rupa's, their training industry does and that they're known for is when you go in there, all of their walls are black. So the reason they do that is when you're paint correcting, the car's not really reflecting off of white walls like it would in a normal shop, right? It's kind of contrasted in, and then you only have your lights hitting it. There's nothing else around it. But then their wash bay is different. They have white lights in it because they want to flood everything in with as much lighting as possible. And, you know, in my head when we had first went there, I was like, okay, white walls versus black walls. Like, that's not going to make a difference. I've been in a shop paint correcting with white walls for the last 4 years, so it shouldn't matter. But then when we started actually working in that shop, I was like, oh, like my eyes feel a little bit easier rested. I'm seeing things a little bit better. I'm not really having to search for it. And it was just a little bit easier. So it was one of those things I was like, wow, like something that small actually does make a difference.
Just the
small,
color of the
I mean,
walls,
I know it's the whole shop.
Well,
painted,
no,
but,
it's not something you would really think about. And, you know, you just decorate the shop how you want it to look.
Exactly.
Not based on how is the color going to change my work.
Yeah, and see, I walked in there just thinking, oh, they painted the walls black just for the looks of it. It looks cool, right? And they were like, no, there's a reason for it because of the way we paint correct these cars. And I'm like, oh.
Very cool. Yeah, so lots of little niche details that, that nobody would think about. Yeah,
Very much so.
That's not something I ever would have thought about, but yeah, it makes sense. Good hot topic, man.
Good.
All right, last question for y'all. What is your favorite either car or like style of car? Do you like, because you mentioned like the S2000, so is like JDM your thing, or is like American Muscle? Like,
I would really say American Muscle, right? Like one of my dream cars is like a 2016 Viper ACR. However, I think anything that has like the two-door, long hood, short trunk base really kind of gets me going, right? So anything like Skylines and Supras. You can have things like Aston Martins, certain body types of Ferraris. I don't know. There's something about the way that those cars are all built and designed that I love the body lines on them.
that's cool.
Not to say that there's not four doors that I like too, but there's something about that long hood, two-door, and a short trunk base that I'm just like,
That's cool. It almost
that's a
like,
slick car.
yeah, it almost looks like, you know, it's just so much power because you have all this room for the engine and no weight behind it.
Back,
it's literally basically just
and
engine.
those are the cars that look the sickest when they have a giant wing in the back of it, or you just see some guy just spinning it out and you're like, dang, he's getting it. You know, like the Corvettes too, right?
Yeah,
it's that
Corvettes
same
are
type
good,
of body style, and it's something about that I really like.
Very cool.
C7 Corvettes.
Yeah, that's very, no, that's not something you hear all the time. That's cool. What about you, Carson?
I could probably go on for days about this, but I'll give you guys like three. One of my favorite cars that I've liked like ever since I've got into cars is the Mercedes C63. I've had a thing for that car since I've started working with Ethan and Kurt. But
that's awesome.
I love that big German V8.
Yeah.
And then another one is probably a Cadillac CTS-V.
Okay. Those are cool.
After seeing one of our clients fully build his CTS-V, I kind of have an idea for the capability that car has, and I'm like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And then probably another one would be one of the new M3s. Those are so sexy.
Those are good-looking cars,
So
for sure.
sexy.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of power. We've seen a lot of the M3s in here.
So
I'm
many
sure.
M3s.
Yeah.
So many different types, so many different colors.
The colors are really beautiful on it, too.
Every time we got like a young kid coming in here, he'll look at me like, what am I doing wrong?
Why do these 17-year-olds have a bunch of M3s?
He's like
man?
17, 18, 19-year-old. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah, everybody knows in the shop not to tell me how old the kid is.
Contemplating a career change.
I do it on purpose just to think about it. I'm like, hey, did you hear how old the kid is?
Yeah, and he's a streamer. He's like, one of like 10,000 kids probably trying it.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I'll be sitting there working for the rest of the day. I'm like, what?
What?
Why?
Just crying.
Yeah, or it'll be like somebody like started like a giant shoe brand or something. and you're like, what?
Just having to take off. Yeah, I know. It's the way that the e-commerce and everything has changed. Just there's 16-year-olds making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's like, this is just some kid. Like, it's crazy. But,
hey, man, props to them.
Yeah, for real, though. Like, they're putting in the work, so it's pretty cool. But, yeah, it's just changed a lot. I feel like, you're not having to go out and do manual labor like, you used to. Like, that was kind of the only way to make money was yeah, you had to just sell your time and your your energy.
Well, what's
but
just
now,
insane too is just how smart some of those kids are too, of being like
just being able to figure it out.
financially able to figure this stuff out. And I'm like, props to you, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 21, almost 22, and I still can't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
hopefully
crazy.
it'll come with me over the years, but it's like I look at them and I'm like, yeah, I'm not in that position because I'm not that smart myself.
It's that internet money, man. That
Yeah.
internet money. The
That new money, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
New money.
for sure. Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was a pleasure talking with y'all.
Pleasure
I'd like to
talking.
give some shout outs if possible.
Absolutely, go ahead.
More shout outs.
How many?
Shout out my mom, Shannon Williams. Shout out Cooper, my brother, Cooper Williams. Shout out my homie, Lanier. Shout out my other homie, Imran.
Are these real people?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
they
I
all
just
are
making
actually real.
That's awesome. That's even better.
Yeah, that kind of concludes it for me.
Awesome. You have any shout outs, Ethan?
I'll just shout out one person really special in my life, my girlfriend. So shout out Kayla Brown.
Shout out.
He's just mad, bro. He's just mad. I don't get time to hang out with him as much anymore.
That's
so.
funny. That's funny. All right. Well, yeah. Thank y'all for your time. It was awesome getting to talk to y'all.
Thank you.